Salve, friend. Mind telling me who you are and why you look like you've just taken on a gladiator and lost? Oh, sounds serious. I'm listening. Yulia? Oh no. All right, I can do that. Poor Virgil. Poor Rufius too, I guess. All right, got it. I'll go, but once I'm done, I'll need you to tell me how you know all of this.
Oh, you're here. I'm so glad you decided to visit. I'm Aurelia, and I hope I'm not being too forward, but the moment I laid eyes on you, I was intrigued. You're not like any Roman man I've ever seen. You seem so refined, so civilized.
You, Sisyphus, attack or pursue the stone that always
What was
returns.
that? Some kind of joke? If it was, it wasn't funny. I take back what I said. Suddenly, I don't find you so intriguing anymore. Let's just forget that ever happened, so we can at least do business. So, what brings you to my tavern? You know, normally, I'd expect you to buy me a drink before asking if I want to get out of here. I guess that went right over your head. Never mind. As a matter of fact, I do know a way out. I'm happy to tell you all about it, but this is valuable information we're talking about, and I don't just give it out like some cheap oracle. So, how badly do you want it? Is it worth, say, 1,000 denarii to you? Well, I can't tell you too much. Ha! It's hardly my fault if people misunderstand the terms of a deal. I mean, it does say, let the... Certainly, for 10 denarii. Have you met Livia? She used to do my hair, until now she just stands around. I hear that if Malleolus is elected, he's gonna throw a small festival to celebrate with any... There used to be a midwife here, Naevia, but this place drove her mad as a Maenad. Said she could hear the statues whispering to her. Can you imagine? Fortunately for us, she locked herself in the palace weeks ago and hasn't been seen since. Good riddance, I say. Scintilla, the magistrate's youngest daughter, went missing a few weeks ago, right out from under Daddy's nose. How can we trust him to govern a city if he can't even protect his own daughter? I heard Dacius has been offering a lot of money for a bow. Of course, Sentius banned all weapons in the city, so I can't help but wonder what he's up to. Have you seen the way Rufius walks around staring at all the statues? He says he's afraid they're going to spring to life. But then, why does he have a collection of them in his room? I hear Galerius has a thing for Equitia, but of course she's a Vestal priestess. If she sleeps with him, the magistrate will have to bury her alive. Why do silly boys always want what they can't have? I hear there are blasphemous cultists walking among us. You know, the ones that lit the fires last year? Some even say they have a secret shrine around here somewhere. I've already told you everything I know, I'm afraid. All right, see ya.
Just as the ocean accepts the rivers, but it does not. You think it is better for you. The newly... Cerberus lifts his triple head and lets out his three full. Praying.
Olivia, would you stop muttering like the deer over a cauldron? You'll scare away my customers.
Welcome. Feeling all right? Sure. What do you want to know? How did you know that? Yes, she did mutter something about the only way out. A few times, but nothing more than that, I'm afraid. Gladly. That's a shame. Thanks again for saving Yulia's life. Apollo smiles upon you.
Sorry, I'm still a bit out of it. Galerius just saved my life. Was there something you wanted? Lucretia says I'm supposed to rest. Our priestess Equitia once told me it's the god's way of creating a city without sin. But if that's the case, then whichever god is responsible for it didn't think it through. I mean, all it really does is make bad people better at hiding their sins, and good people too frightened to stand up for themselves. I've seen Malleolus, Claudia, and Domitius make grown men cry. Romans. They don't cry easily. They've never physically hurt anyone. But the point is, they don't have to. They've got people running scared because everyone knows Malleolus is the favorite to win today's election. Really? Then I hope fortune smiles on you, friend. All right. Goodbye. Oh, it's you again. If that's your idea of a joke, it's not fun.
May Apollo keep you safe.
Whatever's in that great temple up there on the bluff. Salve, stranger, and welcome to our idyllic little slice of the Empire. I'm Dacius. You mean, how did I end up here? Suit yourself.
I'm afraid not. If you're desperate,
Some people here are a little shady for my liking. Oh yeah, gotta watch out. Old Dacius has got your back though. It's terrible for inflation is what it is. There's so much gold just lying around, it's practically worthless. At least down here.
Of course, I have an idea for generating real wealth, but
What I need is a bow. Just a simple composite bow. I've scoured this city from top to bottom with no luck. But if you happen to find one, bring it to me and we'll talk. Thank you, friend. Very well. Another time.
For the last time, Dacius, I'm not making you a bow. You know why. There are no other weapons in the city. We all went along with the magistrate's weapons ban, so it wouldn't be an issue.
Help! A man arrived in the bar. You have to do. Are you daft or just callous? If you don't stop him, we're all going to die. Ugh. The shrine is collapsing!
Fabia, no! Oh God, she's dead! Did anyone see that? The whole shrine just collapsed on her! Oh Fabia, why did you have to go in there? Poor sweet girl! I can't believe she is dead. Fabia, I mean. She walked into that empty shrine, and the next moment she is lying dead under a pile of rubble. The gods are cruel and unjust. She was like a daughter to me. I'm sorry, friend. It's not right for me to lay my burden upon you. I can't believe she is dead. The gods are...
Help! You have to do... Thank you. I have to... Hear what? What? We don't have time for this. I have to go. What? Why? All right, fine. Come and find me in my bakery instead.
You carry the gift of Prometheus in your hand. Welcome, welcome. May I ask your name? It is best you do not know my name, for merely to speak of my existence in the city above could bring destruction on you all. Tell me, what brings you all the way down here? Well, in that case, I cannot help you. A shame, but suit yourself. Ah, you've returned. Tell me, what brings you all the way down here? Then perhaps the fates brought you here to learn the secrets of this place. I will tell you everything I know, But first, a request. I have been living down here alone for many years, with nobody to talk to but myself. The one thing I long for above all else before I die is a good philosophical. Let us find out with this simple. Then you should speak. It is best if you come to this.
A new face, Arve, and may... Interesting. I'm not sure why you're telling me. Yes, I suppose that could be something. But then most of us do tend to carry coins on our person, don't we? What else? Yes. I understand many of our friends were carried here by a river current. What else? That's true. I know I wasn't entirely sure how I wound up here. It's as I feared. I think I understand what poor Livia has been going through. Let me ask you this. Did you happen to encounter a stranger in the forest before you arrived here? And did you happen to catch her name? I see. And was this Karen, by any chance, wearing a hood? Because I've seen her before. There's some...
What?
Please, go...
Salve, friend. I'm Octavia. Welcome to life under the Golden Rule. It's a ghastly thing, is it not? How are you faring so far? All right, well, it was lovely to meet you. I look forward to getting to know you better over the coming months. And if you ever...
I can't believe this is how it ends.
Oh no. No. No, 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 no. Orpheus, what are you doing?
That's the...
What?
Why do you...
I know. Please.
I'm sorry, but...
Please, help him. Thank you. And...
You know about that? How is that possible? I mean, I've never mentioned it to anyone. Well, if you say so. You don't understand. I don't want to hurt anyone. I just want it all to be over. It's too late for that. Yulia and I made a pact, and she's already swallowed hemlock this morning. If I backed out now, I'd be betraying her. I can't do that. Oh, really? That changes things a little. But we're still in debt bondage to that monster. Unless you happen to have 2,000 denarii to pay off both of our debts. Really? Wait. So, I guess you'd want me to work for you then. You'd do that for us? couple of complete strangers. It seems today we're both blessed. This did not turn out how I thought. Thank you, friend. I never thought people like you existed. Thank you. I'll go and pay off our debts immediately. I just wish there was some way I could repay you. But I have nothing but the tunic on my back. Ah. And there it is. All right. Scintilla and I were in love. And then, 22 days ago, she went missing. All right. One night a few months ago, when I was cleaning Malleolus' villa, I heard a young woman singing. It was the most beautiful thing I had ever heard. I wasn't allowed out, so once everyone else was asleep, I climbed up the inside of the villa and onto the roof, just to see where that sound was coming from. And that's when I saw her. Standing in the garden of the magistrate's villa, I just sat there on the roof, listening to her with my chin on my knees. And for the first time in a long time, I felt hopeful. And then she looked up and saw me and she smiled. I knew at that moment the fates had brought me to her. And from the moment she asked my name with this warmth and curiosity, I knew I'd have done anything for her. And so for weeks on end, each night I'd climb out of the villa and into her father's garden. We'd hold hands and talk about all the things we'd do once we got out of here. Like having our own vineyard. And then one morning I woke up and everyone was out searching for her. They said she'd vanished in the night. All I could do was keep my head down and try to hide how beside myself I was. Scintilla was the one thing that made my life bearable. But with her gone, things unraveled quickly. You saw how bad it got. All I know is she loved me. And if she had known a way out, she would have told me. She'd never have taken her own life. And there's no way anybody could have killed her under the Golden Rule. I can't prove it, but I just know she's still alive somehow. Even now, it's as if I can hear her voice in my head, crying out to me. That can only mean one thing. Somebody abducted her. I have no idea how, or who would want to do something like that to such a sweet, lovely girl. But what else could have happened? My guess? Malleolus had something to do with it. He is without doubt the most evil man I have ever known. I have no idea where he'd be keeping her, but there is one room in his villa, upstairs, which is always locked. I've never seen the inside of it, and I haven't been able to steal a key without breaking the Golden Rule. But I have a feeling that if you could get in there somehow, it would shed light on a great many things. Oh, I see. That was the only idea I had. I'll give it some more thought. Come and find me a little later. I'll go and take care of things with Malleolus and tell Yulia the good news. Thanks again, friend. I'll never forget what you did for us.
What you did was extraordinary, and I'll never forget it. I'm thankful that you're here. Can I help you with something? Here in... I don't... I hope hope it works out. The many I'd like to put on the other, and that's... If that's true, then sooner or later, things are going to end badly for all of us down here.
Salve again, friend. I went and did as you asked, and it worked. How is it possible that you've just arrived here and you already know everyone and exactly what's about to happen to them? Oh, come on. I just did as you asked. The least you can do is level with me. I'll keep it between us. I promise. That's a shame. Now everybody's gonna think I'm some kind of oracle for knowing the future before it happens, and I have no way of explaining it. Hey, maybe the patricians will start treating me with a bit more respect. But then again, probably not. All right, I'll leave you to it, friend. Ah, it's you again. Hope you're settling in, friend. Now, what's on your mind? I've bounced the idea around once or twice, mainly as a way of getting Dooley set free. God knows Sentius is never going to do it. But from what I hear, Malleolus has the election stitched up. Nobody's going to take him on and win. And maybe that's not such a bad thing. I mean, he talks a lot about freedom, so I'm hoping if he's elected, he'll release Dooley from his cell. And that's good enough for me. And how could you know that? I mean, I don't like the man, but I don't see how you could know a thing like that. You overheard him say that? Oh, why does that not surprise me? He and Sentius have despised each other for a long time now. Well, in that case, we need to find a way to make sure Malleolus loses. Better yet, get him to withdraw altogether. If you can do that, and Sentius is the only candidate left, I'll run against him. Deal? I can't see how I could vote for either candidate. Even I could do a... All right.
Citizen. Name's Grophius. See you around.
Don't you just love springtime?
Hello? Hello? You're going to let me out of here? Really?
Fortune smile on you, brother.
Oh. Please. I hate it here. It makes me very sad. Galerius already... Like... Galerius? If you help make him magistrate, Hannibal's... Bye-bye.
Salve, Dooley. How are you doing today?
I'm sad. Am I going to die? I don't think so.
Shalom. I feel like I've looked everywhere. At least everywhere I could get to. There are still 2 places I've never been able to reach. First, the palace. If Navia managed to get in, then I suppose Scintilla could have too. The only other place you could be is somewhere in the cistern network. I remember hearing that Dooley had been poking around in the upper cistern before he was locked up. So you could ask him about it, I suppose. You mean where am I from and all that? Judea, originally. But when I was a child, I moved to Rome with my family, Romanized my name and spent most of my life in the Jewish district of Trans-Tiberim, across the Tiber from the main city. That's where I was when the fires broke out. Everyone was running toward the river and I, listening to my inner contrarian, ran the other way. Every road leading out of Rome was in chaos, full of people with all their belongings in carts and brigands preying on them. Several hours down the Appian Way, I saw another Jewish family being attacked by 3 opportunists. So I picked up a branch from the side of the road and went to defend them. I can only assume they got the better of me because the next thing I knew, I was waking up in a forest, by a river not far from here, with no memory of how I got there. It's strange though, because I still had my purse on me. Why would a robber knock me unconscious and throw me in a river, but not take my coins? You're right. I always just assumed the river carried me, but I'm not sure I was anywhere near the Tiber when I fell. I'm sure it'll all make sense if we ever get out of here. You mean where am I from and all? But that's where a lot of good it did me. And that family. I sometimes wonder what happened to them. I don't. But even if I did, I'm not going anywhere. I have unfinished business. Well, neither of us have a couple of hours to stand around talking about theology, law, and collective punishment, so I guess you're looking for a pithy summary? You remind me of an old story from my people about Hillel the Elder. He was approached by a Gentile and asked to explain the entire Torah while he stood on one foot. Obliging, he replied, "What is hateful to you, do not do to another. That is the whole Torah. The rest is commentary. Go and learn." Of course, what I want to know is, what kind of a god sees a young woman abducted and does nothing about it? Not my god. That's for sure. Thanks. I just wish there was a way to find out. Well, neither of us have a couple of hours to stand around talk. Obliging, of course. Maybe you don't. I feel it in my bones. Sentius, I suppose. I'd have to be insane to vote for Malleolus after what he did to me. All right, friend. Thanks for the chat.
Citizen?
Malleolus isn't receiving visitors at the moment, it being election day. Listen, I don't abduct women. When Malleolus wins the election... Listen. Her name's Demetrius. Why? Because I am a gladiator. That's why. You want to see me fight? Keep running your mouth, fatuous cunnis. The name's Domitius. What? Whatever. Just... Hey! You're not thinking about going into the cistern, are you? Contrary little cap at murder, aren't you? Nobody's told you about Hannibal? Ugh, why do I have to do everything round here? So, there was this guy called Hannibal, right? Funny accent. Used to go down into the cisterns looking for junk he could clean up and sell. One day, a few weeks back, he comes out and tells me the cisterns are haunted. Said he could hear spirits wailing. Of course, nobody believed him, because who trusts a Carthaginian, right? Anyway, a few days later, he goes back in. And hours go by, and he hasn't come back out, yeah? So I go down after him, and it's dark. But in the distance, I can just make out his body, sprawled out on the ground. And hunched over him was something that made my blood run cold. No word of a lie. I saw a creature. Like the corpse of a man who'd been flayed. And it was eating Hannibal. I know what I saw, alright? But if you reckon you're more fearless than a gladiator, don't let me stop you going down there. Just see what happens. Good idea.
Kill me. Help me. Let me die. You help me. You help me. And it hurts. It hurts. You please kill me. Let me die. You please.
Please.
Help me. It hurts. You. Help me. Let me die. Hurts. Help me. Help me.
What now? Whatever. Just...
Citizen, we're finally alone. I assume you already know who I am. I must have... Is that about... Seems rather brash, but all right. Why have you sought me out? You mean Duilius? Perhaps you're... Ask then. Good. Now, was there something else? Of course. What is it? Why then did you say, it looks like you'll have to continue? Of course. Yes? Why do you say that? What? That's... I'm speechless. How do you know? Of course, this isn't your first loop, is it? Well then, you must stop him from winning the election. I expect you'll need some kind of leverage on him, but I can't be seen to be involved in this, of course, so you'll be on your own. You'd better not waste any time, and may Swada, goddess of persuasion, go with you. Good, thank you. Ah, you've returned. Of course. Well, if you stopped one person from breaking it and you allow me to explain. When I the crux of it, to illustrate, if you the same, if either of those, so the fact. I know what you mean. It feels as if such things were never meant for mortal ears, and it is difficult to grasp. Nevertheless, it looks like you'll have to continue your investigation. Now, was there anything else you wanted to ask? Of course. What is it? Yes? What? An assassin? Then what are you doing here, as magistrate? Thank you. Please act quickly before it's too late.
What is it, citizen? All right.
Oh, I wish Horatius would stop letting barbarians in here. Oh, you heard about her disappearance, I take it. Oh no, that's Scentilla's. The question is, what was it doing in the cistern? A skeleton? Oh gods, you mean she's... What do you mean? But didn't Domitius say there's some kind of creature down there that killed and ate Hannibal? Could it not have attacked her too? What are you saying? That somebody crept down there and put Scentilla's amulet on another body to make us think she was dead? Why would anyone do such a thing? But who? Who could have a reason to do that? That is an extremely serious accusation. I take it you have something to back it up. So this is just baseless speculation then? I've heard enough. I won't have you peddling scurrilous gossip about my sister's tragic death. Kindly keep your insane conspiracy theories to yourself and leave me alone to grieve, you barbarian. Let me grieve my sister's death in peace.
Citizen.
So you survived the cistern. Probably just a stroke of fortuna. Don't get cocky.
Thank you. Thank you. I am delighted. Domitius doesn't usually let anyone in here without a hefty tribute, so you must have been desperate to see me. Well, what do you want? Are you insane? You barge into my villa uninvited and then make outrageous demands? Why would I withdraw from an election I'm bound to win? You fool.
The many shall suffer for the sins of the one.
Thank you. Thank you. I am delighted and deeply honored to have been...
Domitius doesn't usually let anyone in here without a hefty tribute, so you... I'm afraid not. We're stuck down here together, for better or worse. We're all going to have to make the best of it. Why would I with... Don't talk nonsense. There's no such thing as... How? I don't know how you know about my plans, but I'm absolutely sure Sentius is involved somehow. And now, I'm going to enjoy watching Domitius kill him even more. Now, Get out of here! You outstayed your very limited welcome. Get out of my villa before I have Domitius throw you out.
You're not supposed to. I should hope so. This is outrageous.
Why are you still here?
Finally.
Why are you still here? The dainty little thing from next door? Of course not. As much as I despise her father, I would never lay a finger on that poor, sweet child.
Finally.
Get out of my villa before I have Domitius throw you out. All right, now you've crossed a line. Get out of there!
So you survived the system. Don't get cocky.
Stop right there. I'm looking for Tiberius Quinctius Crispus, otherwise known as Quinctius. Do you know where he is? You're right, I am. I must be getting a reputation. I suppose I might as well get right to it then. Do you have any last words? Well, I'd say that's rather convenient, since I was planning to kill you all anyway.
The many shall suffer for the sins of the one.
Thank you. thank you. I am delighted and deeply honored to have been elected your magistrate. Magistrate, yes, yes, yes. Thank you, thank you. I'm delighted and deeply honored to have been elected your...
Domitius doesn't usually let anyone in here without a hefty tribute, so you must have... Of course not. But as I always say, if Sentius... Look, of course, just to be clear... Why would I... You are acting very strangely. Why would... You fool.
The many shall...
Thank you. Thank you.
Domitius doesn't usually let any... Why? Don't talk... How? Nonsense! This is nonsense! I don't know how you know about my plans, but I'm absolutely sure Sentius is involved somehow. And now, I'm going to enjoy watching Domitius kill him even more. Now, get out of here! You outstayed your very limited welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
Domitius doesn't usually let anyone in here. Why? You are acting very strangely. Are you insane? You bad... Why? Don't talk... How? Nonsense! This is nonsense! I don't know how you know about my plans, but I'm absolutely sure Sentius is involved somehow. And now, I'm going to enjoy watching Domitius kill him even more. Now, get out of here! You outstayed your very limited welcome. Get out of my villa before I have...
Thank you. Thank you.
Domitius doesn't usually... Why? Don't talk... How? I don't know how you know about my plans, but I'm absolutely sure Sentius... And now, I'm going... Now...
What now? Whatever.
May Apollo keep you safe.
Stop right there. I'm looking for Tiberius Quinctius Crispus. Thank you. For your service to the Empire, I'll let you live for now, but you'd best make sure our paths don't cross again.
Filthy, lying degenerate!
So you survived the cistern. Probably just a stroke of fortuna. Don't get cocky.
Are they? We'll speak again after you've carried out my order. Ah, I see. Well, if you stopped one person from breaking it and you're still here, then there must be someone else about to break it still. Allow me to explain. When I discovered the ritual to Proserpina, the instructions came with a warning about paradoxes. The crux of it is this. If you do anything to change the course of history in such a way that your very being here is impossible, you will have created a paradox. To illustrate, when the Golden Rule is broken, I will open the doorway that will bring you here to prevent it from being broken. If you manage to succeed in saving our lives, then I will have no reason to open the doorway, and you will never have come here. The same thing would happen if either of... So the fact... Excellent. It looks like you'll have to... Of course. What? Yes? Why do you say that? What? Well, I can't be... You'd bet... Good. Thank you. Ah, you... Thank you. Ah, you've returned. Of course. Yes? Why do you say that? Despicable, but did it break the Golden Rule? Then it seems the gods are not concerned with her conduct, so she can't be the one you're looking for. It looks like you'll have to continue your investigation. Of course. Yes? Why do you say that? Indeed, that is abhorrent. And even if doing so hasn't directly broken the Golden Rule, it's not difficult to imagine this behavior provoking someone to theft or violence. Thank you for bringing this to my attention, but before we proceed, I must ask, are you sure he's the one? Well then, in that case, as much as it pains me to do so, I must act decisively to ensure the survival of my people. As magistrate, I hereby declare him an enemy of Rome and authorize his execution by your hand, forthwith. Very well. It looks like you'll have to continue your investigation. Now, was... Of course. Yes? Why do you say that? So I'm told. But while that is distasteful, asking for tributes is not uncommon, so I don't think it's going to break the Golden Rule. It looks like you'll have to continue your investigation. Of course. What? Yeah. Why do you say... So I'm told. This is truly atrocious behavior, which undermines the very foundations of our democracy. Thank you for bringing this to my attention, but before we proceed... Well then, as magistrate, I hereby declare him an enemy of... It looks like... Of course. Why do you say that? You managed to extract all that from him. Well done. And I have noticed his contemptuous stares, but I had no idea he was so dangerous. Thank you for bringing this to my attention, but before we proceed, I must ask. Ah, I see. It looks like you'll have to... Of course. Yeah. Why do you say that? Well then, you'd better make sure she doesn't lose another patient, hadn't you? Whatever it takes, do it. It looks like you'll have to continue your investigation. Of course, what it... Yeah. Why do you say that? You seem to be grasping at straws here. I can assure you, she is most... It looks like you'll have to continue your Of course, what is it? Yes? Why do you say that? Then you'd better find a way to make him back down, hadn't you? I'm quite sure you're capable of containing that half-wit. You mean to say you've tried every non-lethal measure you can? Well then, perhaps you'd better keep trying. Good. You... Of course. Yeah. Why do you say... You... Well then, in that case, as much as it pains me to do so, I must... As magic... Very well. It looks like you'll... Of course. What is it? Yeah. Why do you say that? Why? Because he prefers the company of men? Ridiculous. Romans of all... I simply cannot believe that his innate preferences would break the golden rule. If I were you, I'd be looking for whichever idiot is making those accusations. It looks like you'll have to continue your investigation. Now, was there anything else you wanted to ask? Of course. What is it? Yeah. Why do you say that? You suspect. I confess, I don't have a lot of sympathy for Ulpius, but you're going to need a lot more than suspicion to get to the bottom of this. It looks like you'll have to continue your investigation. Now, was there anything else you wanted to ask? You mean Duilius, perhaps? Here, the man has... I will not jeopardize the lives... Thank...
Arve, I take it you've cleared the way to the baths? Follow me, but don't follow too closely. We can't have people thinking we're bathing together. all right, you're here. You were asking how I knew the young woman you met by the river was wearing a hood. Here, look down at the bottom of the baths. It's a little hard to make out in this light. If only we could see. Oh, what a marvelous lamp. But do you see it? Somebody waking up by a river in a forest to find a hooded figure with a coin. It's just as you described it, only your pronunciation is a little off. The name you heard wasn't Charon. It was C-H-A-R-O-N, as in Charon, the ferryman of the dead. Charon, who, in exchange for the right coin, helps the souls of the newly deceased cross the Styx, the river that separates the land of the living from the land of the dead.
When I dragged you out of the river, I thought you were never gonna wake up. I checked your pockets for ID, but all I found was some loose change. Feels like I've spent my whole life in a dead-end job with an endless commute. Sorry if I sounded cagey, it's just that I don't always get the best reactions when I introduce myself. My name's Karen.
I'm so sorry, my friend. I'm so sorry. I take it you know what this means. I'm afraid so. It's all starting to make sense. All these people whose last memory was running from the fires toward the river. It seems none of them escaped with their lives after all. Perhaps we should be grateful they don't remember their final moments. It also tells us that the Golden Rule is the work of Pluto, the god of the underworld, and why his epithet has always been Father of Riches. I know it's a lot to take in, and you look as if you have questions, so I'll try to answer them if I can. That was my first thought too. In the old stories, the underworld was where the souls of the deceased were taken. But it was also possible for the living to reach it without dying, if they were particularly fearless. So I'm afraid I don't know. Oh, I'm sorry. I keep forgetting you're not from here. If you were Roman, or even Greek, you would know these stories. Each of them is slightly different, whether the storyteller was Plato, Homer, Virgil, or Ovid. But they always involved the souls of the dead meeting a grim ferryman named Charon on the bank of a river. It was said that he'd help the new arrival cross, only if they could pay him with a coin, an obol. That's why it was once our custom to bury our loved ones with a coin in their mouths. Charon's obol, we called it. Of course, an obol was a kind of Greek coin, because we inherited this knowledge from the Greeks. To be fair, the ferryman isn't exactly as the poets described, and he, she, they seem to appear to different people in different guises. You say you saw a young woman named Karen with a hood, and I once heard Kabash mention a stranger in a ram headdress named Kerti, and Rufius described meeting a stranger named Kumut Tabal wearing an eagle headdress. But whatever form this stranger took, they were always wearing a hood of some sort, and their name always began with a K sound. I suspect the only way you'll solve this riddle is if your paths cross again. Good question. Let's see. In the stories, Charon would always require a coin as payment for passage across the river, but that never made any sense to me. What does an ancient immortal being need with coins? In our case, it seems Charon didn't take the coins we had. He or she merely checked we had one in our possession. So, maybe there's something special about the coins each of us had on us. That might explain why we wound up here, but so many others did not. No. I mean, I had my suspicions, especially after Livia's ramblings, but I would never have figured it out without your help, I promise you. Now that we know where we are, we have to figure out what to do about it, if we don't want to be cast into gold for eternity. We don't have much to go on, except the old stories. I remember 4 in particular about heroes in the underworld. Hercules, the demigod and son of Jupiter, Orpheus, a Thracian poet, Sisyphus, a king of Ephyra, and Aeneas, a Trojan hero. Hercules was able to leave the underworld because he cowed its god with his strength. Sisyphus and Orpheus both relied on their wits instead. They persuaded the goddess of the underworld, Proserpina, to help them escape. And finally, Aeneas was able to escape with the help of a spirit guide, who led him through a secret gate. So it seems you have 2 options: to confront the god of the underworld head-on, or find a way to escape with the help of Proserpina or some other guide. It's a reasonable question, but the problem is, this place is fairly well designed to keep us here. There's no way to climb up the shaft. And even if you could build a ladder big enough, just trying it would break the golden rule. We know that, thanks to the writings left behind by those who've tried. All Romans try to avoid saying it, and the reason is quite simple. He might hear us. You may refer to him as Pluto, if you wish, but you'll only be calling attention to yourself. Do so at your own peril. Shh! Is everyone so blunt where you're from? Oh. That option would be the boldest, but also the only way to learn the truth about the Golden Rule, and maybe even put an end to it. As I said, Hercules managed to overpower the god of the underworld, but he was a demigod. Forgive my candor, but you are no Hercules. Are you telling me that you can? I won't pretend to understand exactly what that means, but if that's true, then perhaps you stand a chance. So, if you want to confront him, I'll help you as much as I can. Who knows? Perhaps your name will be uttered in the same sentence as Hercules one day. But first, you'd need an audience with you-know-who, and for that, you'll need to enter the great temple overlooking the city. The problem is, the door has been sealed shut for as long as I've lived here, and there doesn't even seem to be a keyhole. I suspect the answer lies in the desecrated obelisk in front of it. I'm not sure if you noticed, but there are 4 plaques missing from its base. It looks as though somebody, or a series of somebodies, forcibly removed them, and in doing so, dishonored and angered our divine keeper. If you could recover and replace all 4 of those missing plaques, I imagine he might be willing to receive an audience again. It's the towering stone monument with 4 sides and a pyramid-shaped head that stands before the great temple, a dedication to the god of this place. You'll find them all over Rome, but of course they were looted from Egypt many years ago. It seems one of them made its way here too, although how is a mystery. However, this one is unusual in that each of the 4 sides is decorated in a different style: Roman, Greek, Egyptian, and another I don't recognize. That means you'll need to recover 4 different plaques: Roman, Greek, Egyptian, and a 4th, a mystery plaque. Good question. To answer that, we first need to ask who would have defaced the obelisk in the first place. It would have had the god's name engraved into it, so it may be that whoever desecrated it wanted that name to be forgotten. And there's only one group of people I know of who might want to do that. There's a cult in Rome that often argued there is only one true god. Theirs, of course. They've been known to start fires, as well as deface religious monuments whose existence challenged their beliefs. If I were you, I'd go looking for them. Of course, they've all been in hiding since the fire last year, so finding them won't be easy. But I did hear a rumor they have a secret shrine somewhere in the city. Perhaps, if you could find that, you might be able to recover the Roman plaque. I don't know. But perhaps you should begin your search with the local Greek fellow, Georgius. His store is in the Forum. Perhaps Kabash, our Egyptian resident, would be able to tell us. Unfortunately, he disappeared weeks ago. But I did hear Aurelia is peddling rumors about him at the tavern, so perhaps you could talk to her, or just take a look in his room. I'm afraid you're on your own with that one, but perhaps finding the other three will illuminate the way. As I mentioned, both Orpheus and Sisyphus were said to have persuaded Proserpina to help them escape, and Aeneas was guided to the exit. The problem is, those are the stories of a poet, a self-aggrandizing king, and a brawler about their own heroic deeds, so they should be taken with a grain of salt. First, Proserpina. What we do know about her is, well, it's a grim tale. It's said the god of the underworld abducted and dragged her here against her will, forcing her into marriage. It is. The gods are a mirror image of mankind, as far as cruelty is concerned, I'm afraid. If the stories are true, I imagine she's as desperate to escape as we are. If she really did help Orpheus and Sisyphus, perhaps she'll help us too. The problem is, how do we communicate with her without being noticed by her captor? Leaving that aside for a moment, there is also the possibility of a spirit guide. I don't suppose you've come across one of those in your travels? Truly? And you're only bringing this up now? Then again, I suppose you were worried I'd think you were as mad as Naevia. Can you tell me more? Is it the same voice? What kinds of thing does it say? Fascinating. Perhaps she is a benevolent spirit. Or perhaps... Perhaps you're hearing the voice of Proserpina herself. If she has indeed been abducted, it would make sense for her to speak in cryptic whispers to avoid detection. Tell me, has she told you anything that might lead you to the way out? That is strange. There are no rivers here. Let me think on that. Right, because the current flows into the city through the aqueduct and into the upper cistern. I vaguely recall wondering what was in there, but the door at the back of the great temple is locked up tight. You might be able to get a key from the magistrate, but if that doesn't work, perhaps you can find another way in. Let me know if you find anything in there. As I mentioned, both Orpheus and Sisyphus was the problem for itself. If the stories are true, then I suppose so. The problem is, how do we communicate with her without being noticed by her captor? Leaving that aside for a moment, there is also the possibility of a spirit guide. I don't suppose you've come across one of those in your travels? Truly? And you're only Then again, can you tell... Tell me. Oh, I see. Well, let me know if you hear anything that might be a threat. As I mentioned, both off the first, it's... If the stories are the leave it true, then can you tell that? Well, as far as I can tell, water flows into the city from an aqueduct into one of two cisterns, the upper cistern. If that's the current she's talking about, then perhaps you need to get into the upper cistern somehow. I vaguely recall wondering what was in there, but the door at the back of the great temple is locked up tight. You might be able to get a key from the magistrate, but if that doesn't work, perhaps you can find another way in. Let me know if you find anything in there. All right. I would suggest not discussing this with anyone. The best we can do for them is to let them remain oblivious for as long as possible. As for Livia, it seems she's been shouldering the weight of this terrible secret all this time. Perhaps it would comfort her to know she's not alone. In any case, time is of the essence, so you'd best begin. May Fortuna guide you, although you may not need her with Proserpina on your side. Ave again. Did you find what you... Certainly. May Fortuna... Ave again. Did you... See you again.
You carry the gift of Prometheus in your hand. Remarkable. Ah, you've returned. I will tell you everything I know, but first, a request. I've been the one thing I long for above all else. Let us find out with this simple... Excellent. I see you are indeed quite astute. Very few come to that realization before their time in the sun is over. Now, will you join me in a friendly Socratic dialogue? Wonderful. Then let me begin with a question. Would you say you know the difference between right and wrong? You are an overthinker too. We're the same then. It is probably why I became a philosopher. But if you struggle with right and wrong normally, then down here with the golden rule, surely your struggle can only have become more difficult. Well, that's reassuring. And the truth is, you're not alone. You see, out there in the world, being uncertain about right and wrong was acceptable because our mistakes rarely had consequences. So we would tell lies and bend rules and turn a blind eye and rationalize, and yet still find a way to think of ourselves as good people. But under the golden rule, morality matters. The slightest wrongdoing could result in a mass execution. So to navigate this maze, we would have to be certain about the difference between right and wrong. Wouldn't you agree? So let me ask you this. Is there one system of morality which is always perfectly correct, which you could follow in every situation and always do the right thing? Let me guess. Is it yours? Ah, so you think of all the thousands of competing morality systems that exist. All of them were wrong, except yours, which is always perfectly correct. And you can follow that system in all situations, because there is only ever one possible interpretation. I honestly can't tell if you're seeking to frustrate me, or if you genuinely believe what you're saying. Good. Never discourage anyone who continually makes progress, no matter how slow. Would you say you know the difference between right and wrong? And to what extent? In every situation? So, you're not entirely confident. That is quite sensible. Indeed, I'm reminded of something Socrates once said. To paraphrase, better to know that you know nothing than to know nothing and think that you know. It is because knowledgeable people have learned enough to know they know very little. In the broader scheme of things, you see, out there in the world, being uncertain about right and wrong was acceptable because our mistakes rarely had consequences. So we would tell lies and bend rules and turn a blind eye and rationalize, and yet still find a way to think of ourselves as good people. But under the golden rule, morality matters. The slightest wrongdoing could result in a mass execution. So to navigate this maze, we would have to be certain about the difference between right and wrong. Wouldn't you agree? That is an excellent question, and it leads directly to my next line of inquiry. So let me ask you this. Is there one system of morality which is always perfectly correct, which you could follow in every situation and always do the right thing? Are you sure? Or is it possible that humans simply haven't figured out the right system yet? So is it up to each of us to decide what right and wrong mean to us individually? Or must we simply follow the laws and customs of whichever community we're in? So if a man feels that stoning to death his unfaithful wife is right, then is it right? I agree, but why? Didn't you just say right and wrong depends on the individual? And that's a credit to you. It is the mark of a civilized person to change their position when presented with a superior argument. My point is this. I don't think anyone alive truly knows any hard and fast rules about right and wrong. Surely you would agree there are circumstances where an exception may be made, such as where it is necessary for self-defense or to prevent a greater evil? For any rule, you can imagine there are countless situations in which that rule may be suspended, and those situations are impossible to codify. If there is one thing I have observed about rules, it is that virtuous people do not need them, and evil people will always find a way around them. And so we must accept our limitations, and the sad truth that no human society will ever achieve the utopia for which it strives. In mathematics, we would call it an asymptote, a line that can be approached but never reached. Because the only way to create a utopia is with the ever-present threat of force, such as the Golden Rule. This and no other is the root from which a tyrant springs when he first appears as a protector. And life under tyranny is no utopia at all. I'm glad to hear that. In any case, thank you for humoring an old man. I would be happy to answer your questions. You mean, how did I end up living alone in this cave with nothing but these relics of the past for company? It's a long story. I was a quarrelsome young man. At 19, I left Corinth for Rome to study rhetoric at one of her finest academies, so I could argue more forcefully. Back then, I used to enjoy verbally sparring with everyone I could, and I was good. One night I found myself in a tavern, in an argument with a drunken mercenary. It became heated, he drew a gladius, and I won the argument, but lost my life. I woke up on the banks of the Styx at a campfire opposite Karen. Of course, I tried to persuade her to let me return, but even with all my skill, I failed. I settled in, made friends, and learned what I could, quickly realizing our little community faced certain death under the Golden Rule. So I began looking for a place to hide underground. Fortunately, I found this place waiting for me. You see, I was not the first to take refuge here. I returned to my friends above, persuaded them to join me, and 12 of us descended for the last time to live out our days hidden from Hades' tyranny. They are one and the same. The Romans call him Pluto, but long before that, my people called him Hades. My generation was wiped out, turned to gold, many years ago. My friends and I were able to avoid the same fate by hiding down here. I think it's safest to assume that if I was to return, Hades would realize that his furies hadn't finished the job, and he'd send them after me again. I fear that if you were to utter my name in the city, even by mistake, that Hades would hear you and know I am still alive. I'm afraid I am the only one left. There were 12 of us in the beginning, but one by one, my friends passed away. Some from malnutrition, others from madness and despair. It has been lonely. Before my unexpected visit from Kabash some weeks ago, I'd not seen another person in many, many years. Living in darkness is not without its challenges. The first challenge is diet. Fortunately, I found that eating fresh fish provides most of the nutrients I need. And sometimes, when there are Greek people living up above, I surface at night and salvage the offerings they've left in the temple of Demeter. The greater challenge is the isolation, so I like to imagine arguments, where I argue both sides. But, like so many things in life, arguments are better with a partner. As you wish. Huh, if I did, would I be living like this? Did we not discuss it at length already? Oh, I see. You're toying with me. Ha! You seek the plaque bearing the Egyptian inscription. It is a cursed object, and I would be happy to give it to you if Kabash had not already taken it. I will tell you, but you may find him hostile. To prepare for your encounter, there are certain things you must know. Very few know this, but before the Romans came to this city, it was once entirely Greek. The architecture, the temples, and the people. When the Romans came, in typical fashion, they claimed it as their own, built over everything that could be built over, and renamed the things that could not. Thus, the shrine of Persephone became the shrine of Proserpina. And when they found an obelisk bearing the name Hades, they tore it off and replaced it with Pluto instead. And the city's dwindling Greek residents, witnessing this compulsive Roman conquest, decided to preserve what they could of their heritage. They gathered their art and valuables, secreted them away through the Temple of Demeter, and hid them here, out of reach of the Romans. However, there was one thing that always seemed out of place to me, and it is the very thing you seek. An even older plaque bearing an Egyptian inscription. We had no idea until years later, when the first of my friends began to die. As a result of their deaths, we began to dig catacombs branching off from this cavern to lay them to rest. We extended the tunnel so far that we accidentally discovered another, an even older tunnel, which somebody had gone to great lengths to keep hidden. Suddenly it made sense why there was an out-of-place Egyptian plaque among our people's possessions. You see, we proud Greeks had thought the Romans beasts for stealing and corrupting our heritage. But it turns out this game has been going on much longer than any of us imagined. I think it is best you head through the catacombs and follow Kabash's trail. There are certain things you must see for yourself. Take this key. You'll need it to open the gate. I enjoyed our chat, but please, keep my presence here a secret, yes?